Have you ever heard of the Korean shamans, the Mudang? Their origin story is one of the most powerful and moving legends in Korean folklore, centered around a princess named Bari. It's a tale of abandonment, courage, and a love so profound it could bridge the gap between life and death. Long ago, in a grand kingdom, lived a king and queen who yearned for a son to be their heir. They already had 6 daughters, each as lovely as the last. When the queen became pregnant for the 7th time, the entire court held its breath, praying for a prince. But when the child was born, it was another girl. A wave of disappointment washed over the palace. At that moment, a court shaman, perhaps seeing a future the king could not, delivered a chilling prophecy. This 7th daughter will bring sorrow to the royal house. The king, his heart hardened by disappointment and fear, made a terrible decision. He ordered the infant princess to be abandoned. He couldn't bear to look at the child who, in his eyes, represented the failure of his lineage. The tiny princess was placed in a jade box and cast into the sea, left to the mercy of the elements. Her name, Bari, literally means to cast away or to abandon, a name that was also a curse, a constant reminder of her father's rejection. But fate, it seems, had a different plan. The abandoned princess didn't perish. Instead, she was rescued. Some versions of the tale say she was found by a kind, elderly couple who raised her as their own. Others say she was protected by mythical creatures, a dragon, or even the Buddha himself, who saw the purity in her spirit. Regardless of the details, Bari grew up far from the palace, unaware of her royal blood. She blossomed into a young woman of incredible strength, kindness, and compassion, her heart untouched by the bitterness of her abandonment. Meanwhile, back in the opulent palace, the king and queen grew older. One day, a sudden and mysterious illness befell them. They lay on their beds, their bodies wasting away, their breath growing weaker with each passing day. The finest doctors in the kingdom were summoned, but none could find a cure. Desperate, the king consulted the oracles and the gods. The answer they gave was a shock that echoed through the court. The divine message was clear. The only cure is the water of life, which can only be found in the underworld. And the only person who can undertake this perilous journey and retrieve it is the daughter you cast away, Princess Bari. Imagine the king's despair. The child he had thrown away in fear and anger was now his only hope for survival. He was consumed by regret, realizing the gravity of his mistake. Messengers were sent out across the entire kingdom, searching desperately for the long-lost 7th princess. After a long and arduous search, they finally found her. They explained the dire situation. Her parents, the king and queen who had abandoned her, were on the brink of death, and she was their only salvation. Now, put yourself in Bari's shoes. The parents who had discarded you like an unwanted object were now begging for your help. She could have refused. She could have let them face the consequences of their cruelty. Anyone would have understood. But Bari was different. Her capacity for forgiveness was as vast as the ocean that had once been chosen as her tomb. Seeing the genuine remorse of the messengers and thinking of the parents she never knew, she didn't hesitate. She agreed to undertake the impossible journey. Her older sisters, who had lived lives of comfort and luxury, were asked first. One by one, they refused. The journey to the underworld was a path of no return, fraught with dangers beyond imagination. They were too scared to attach to their privileged lives. Only Bari, the abandoned one, had the courage to face the darkness. And so, Princess Bari began her epic quest. This wasn't just a physical journey. It was a spiritual odyssey. She traveled to the very ends of the earth, crossing treacherous mountains that scraped the sky and raging rivers that roared like monsters. She faced demons and malevolent spirits who tried to trick and torment her. But her pure heart and unwavering determination were her shield and her guide. Finally, she reached the gates of the underworld, the land of the dead. It was a bleak and terrifying place, guarded by a fearsome gatekeeper. In many versions of the legend, this guardian is a powerful figure, the ruler of this spectral realm. He was moved by her story and devotion, yet the water of life could not be given freely. He demanded a price. For her father, who had condemned her to a life of hardship, she had to work for the guardian for 3 years, chopping wood. For her mother, who did not stop the king, she had to work another 3 years, drawing water. And for her 6 sisters, who enjoyed the life she was denied, she had to work a final 3 years, tending his fires. For 9 long, grueling years, Princess Bari labored in the land of the dead. She never complained, never wavered in her mission. Her love for the parents who had wronged her was so absolute, it transcended justice and reason. After her service was complete, the guardian of the underworld, deeply impressed by her devotion, not only gave her the water of life, but also the flower of resurrection, which could bring the dead back to life. He also gifted her 3 sons, who would assist her in her future duties. With the precious water and the magical flower, Bari made the long journey back to the world of the living. But when she arrived at the palace, she was met with a devastating sight. It was too late. Her parents, the king and queen, had already passed away. The funeral procession was already leaving the palace gates. But Bari did not give up. She stopped the procession, opened the coffins, and used her divine gifts. First, she washed their bodies with the water of life, cleansing them of ailment. Then, she placed the flower of resurrection on their chests. Miraculously, their eyes fluttered open. The king and queen were reborn, their health restored, their bodies whole again. The entire kingdom rejoiced. The king, now humbled and full of gratitude, begged Bari for forgiveness. He offered her the throne, the palace, anything she wanted. He said, "You are the most worthy of us all. Come, live in the palace. Half the kingdom is yours." But Bari gently refused. She had walked the path between the living and the dead. She had seen the suffering of lost souls, wandering in the darkness, unable to find their way. Her journey had transformed her. She was no longer just a princess. She had become something more. She said softly, "I no longer seek worldly power or riches. My calling is to guide the souls of the dead, to comfort the grieving, and to serve as a bridge between the worlds." And so, Princess Bari became the very first Mudang, the first shaman. She dedicated her life to performing rituals for the dead, ensuring their safe passage to the afterlife and bringing peace to their families. She became a goddess, a patron saint for all shamans who would follow in her footsteps. Forever remembered as Bari Gongju, the abandoned princess who became a divine guide for lost souls. Her story is a testament to the power of forgiveness, the strength of the human spirit, and the idea that our greatest wounds can often become the source of our greatest power. It's a beautiful reminder that even from the deepest rooted abandonment, a profound purpose can bloom. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into Korean mythology. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from around the world. Let me know in the comments what legend you'd like to hear next. See you in the next video.